Sukka If somebody had a sukkah that was too high, it was more than 20 amos above the ground, he put on the floor pillows or mattresses or blankets, and now it's less than 20 amos. So let's go to the Peirush. A sukkah that the opening between the ground and the roof is more than 20 amos, and that's a postel, and he made it smaller by placing korom exosers. Ain't a miyut, it's not a miyut, and even if he nullified them there, and it's postel. Why? The Magen Mishnah cites Sukkah, it's 3b and 4a, that Sukkah, that it's more, and you place these blankets, it's not a miyut, even though you nullified it, because most people don't nullify blankets and mattresses, because you're going to pick it up afterwards. And even if you say, no, I disagree, there's a concept that your individual intelligence is nullified to the usual logic of man. But if you place straw and ubitloi, and you say, I'm never going to remove this, then it's a miyut, it's kosher. You don't have to say, and for sure, if it's, there's no need to mention that if it was dirt, that it's okay. But dirt ain't a miyut. It's only if you said that the dirt, I'm leaving here. But otherwise, people use dirt for different things, and you might move it. Again, we mentioned the Magen Mishnah cites Sukkah 3b and 4a, and that if he wants to nullify it with straw, to minimize it with straw, and he nullifies the straw, it's okay. And certainly, dirt he can say it's nullified to there. Now, straw that he's not going to remove, and he knows he's not going to remove it, and he didn't say so specifically, or regular dirt, according to Chacham, is not a bittul, because you can remove it. You can use straw for different things. You can use earth for different things. So it's a bittul. The Rambam paskins like the Chachamim because and he cites, there are those who write that if it's regular dirt, you don't have to nullify it, because anything that for sure you're not going to remove it for 7 days, the days of the Sukkah, it's enough. This means that the Rambam and the Riv, who require it be nullified, that it's going to remain forever, not like those who say 7 days. And when it means they're not going to remove it, it is talking about the 7 days of the Chag. And according to the Rambam, by dirt and by straw, only if he's going to leave it there forever, it's a miyut. And dirt that he's not going to leave there, take away during the Chag, is not nullified, that even though he knows he's not going to take it out during the Chag. The Magen Mishnah concludes, there are others who explain it differently, but the explanation of the Rambam is the correct one, that it should be nullified forever. Rashi states that if you put in there these cushions or blankets or I'm adding mattresses, it's not nullified, because you're not going to leave them there for 7 days because of the loss of money. So you see, their time frame is 7 days, not forever. Manoach adds that according to the Rambam, bittul does not mean forever like the Magen Mishnah understood, but some of the things we're talking about it means mekatze. It means that he sets aside these items for 7 days of the Chag. And he's of the opinion that the Rambam says it's not nullified, even though for 7 days, why wouldn't you leave a mattress there? Because he's afraid people will step on them continuously and they'll be destroyed. That's also the understanding of Rashi, that even if we're talking about 7 days, it doesn't help when we're talking about items which are valuable, such as pillows and blankets, other similar items. And even though if this person is willing to forego his items, his intelligence is offset by the intelligence of the majority. Rabbeinu Menoyach doesn't mention by Tevin how long, by straw, how long is the time frame, whether it means forever or 7 days. And Rashi writes that Tevin, if he nullified it with his mouth, for 7 days, it's nullified. So you see that once you say it with your mouth, it's a commitment that we're not afraid he'll take it away. But by dirt, it's not a miyut, because we do not know if he's going to take it away during the Chag, like we find in Oholos, regarding Tumah Ritzutza. Regarding, we know if there's Tumah in a house, then everything in the house becomes Tumah. What happens if the Tumah remains in the house? If there's a tefach between or opening between either the dead person or what's covering the dead person and the ceiling, so the tumah remains in the house. However, once there's no tefach, it's as if you're squeezing the tumah into a position where it has no choice but to burst through the roof, and even things that are on top of the roof become tamei. So a house that was filled with straw or stones, and he's never going to empty it, he says it remains, then the house is considered full, and therefore the tumah on the roof would be bursting through the roof. So this is there. It says specifically he has to say, "I'm leaving it here forever." But if he did not, we'll turn the page. If he did not nullify it, it does not apply. Certainly, regular dirt doesn't apply because you need to have specific, and you have to nullify it to remain there. The Halacha Mishnah points out that the Rambam and the Riv don't mention whether you have to actually do it with your mouth or not, and whether it should be forever. Only the Maggid Mishnah wrote that bitloi means that he states he's going to leave it there forever. Beis Yosef cites the Maggid Mishnah that the Riv and the Rambam has of the opinion it has to remain there forever. And he says, where did the Maggid Mishnah get this from the Riv and the Rambam? Is it because he assumes that the Rambam is stating that which he learned from the Riv? He doesn't state it with that regard. When he writes that this is the logic of the person and not the logic of the Rambam and the Riv. And in the Lechem Mishnah is of the opinion that the Maggid Mishnah wrote it of his own understanding, and not that this is what the Rif and the Rambam accept as the translation of what he intends. Now, is it mutar levatel b'yontiv? Can one nullify something? Let's assume on Yontiv he realizes his roof airspace is more than 20 amas, and he wants to put something down. Can he put it down on Yontif? Rabbeinu Menoyach has a question whether you can do it, because it's not like Chometz, that you can nullify it on Yontif because there he wants to burn it. But here, if we'll think about the offer of the Tevin Karka, he's building, and he's making it as if part of he's building. And it would seem logical it's mutar because he's not actually doing any action. He's just thinking, I'll leave it here. Now, once I leave it here, it's less than 20 amas. 20 amas. Because it was left yesterday. We're not talking where he put it down on Yontiv itself. It's just a question of being mevatel there. And for example, if somebody had a big double bed and he took it out, and the double bed is 7 by 7, he put it in the corner. Now he realized the rest of the sukkah might be possible. We'll see the rest of the sukkah become kosher because of this area, which is less than 20. But assuming he wants this area, I'll say, I'll leave this bed here. And he bought it from yesterday. Can he do it? But according to Rashi, you need to say so. And the Ritva is also questioning whether you can do it with your heart. The Torah writes, if he put into it these pillows and blankets to make it smaller, even if he said, I'm going to leave it there, it's not minimizing the area, because the person does not normally do so. However, if you put in straw, even if he didn't say so specifically, but we know that he's not going to take it out because he has no reason. What does he do with straw? He's not a fellow who works with straw. Then it does minimize the area. If you put in dirt, even we don't know whether he's going to use it or not, it also minimizes it. But regular straw and dirt, and we know for sure he's going to take it out because he's a builder and he uses it, then it doesn't work. Only if he's mevatel it there for all 8 days. Why does he write 8 days rather than 7 days? Because of Chutz La'aretz, there's an extra day, and he has to do it for 8 days. Not like in Eretz Yisrael, we only have 7 days. But he doesn't have to do it for permanently, forever and ever. Beis Yosef cites the Rosh, that when you nullify it, what's mentioned in the Sugya, according to the Rashi and Iran, it's for 7 days. According to Ben Hananel and Eliezer, you have to nullify it forever. In the Rosh is the opinion like Rashi, for 7 days. Hamagid Mishnah is the opinion that the Riv and the Rambam have the mean forever. And we mentioned the Beis Yosef argues that he doesn't know where the Magid Mishnah gets this specific proof from. Lechem Mishnah explains that the Magid Mishnah it feels that this is logical, and not that he learned it from the Rambam and the Riv. What the Torah paskins, that straw, and he's not going to remove it, or dirt, is called miyut. And the Beis Yosef asks a question, and the Bach asks also the same question. According to the Chachomim, it would not be a minimizer in the dirt until he nullifies it forever, or 7 days. Certainly by straw. And therefore, the Rambam writes, he has to mevatel it, because the Chachom is like the Rabbonon. It's not a miyut until you nullify it. And it can't be, it's not logical that the Torah should pass like Rabbi Yossi, neged Rabbonon. When you have many, and the individual halacha is always like the many, and the Chacham say it's not good unless you nullify it. The Shulchan Aruch paskins in 633. And if he made it, minimize the area with blankets or pillows, it's not a miyut even if he nullified it. The Mishnah Berurah explains that this is because his intelligence is nullified by everybody else's intelligence. Nobody's going to cause his things to be destroyed. Shulchan Aruch continues, if he did it with straw and he nullified it, then it's a miyut, and it minimizes the area, and he doesn't have to say, and for sure when it comes to dirt, that if he nullified it, that it's nullified. But if he doesn't say so, even if he put down earth, it doesn't help. He has to say so, just like the Rambam says. He has to say, I nullify it. But he adds that you should do it with the mouth, not just thought. The Mishnah Berurah cites that you have to do it forever to nullify it. And there are those who say it's enough for 7 days. The later commentaries are more lenient. You can do it just for the 7 days of Sukkot. Regarding the words of the Mechaber that you have to do it with peh, you have to state you're nullifying it. The Mishnah Berurah points out it's enough in the heart, like Rabbeinu Menoach says. Now the Rambam continues: if it was above 20 amas and wutzatz, and the schach is falling down, parts of it, Yordon Chof, and enters into within the 20 amas, but the majority is above. If you would take away the rest of the schach, and this schach that's within 20 amas would give you more shade than sun, then we just look at it as a big roof, and since we count from the lowest points of those drooping schach, and there's less than 20 amas till that point, what's above it we don't care. The main idea is to be able to see the schach when you're inside the sukkah. Shulchan Aruch in 633, Siv Beis, paskins, if it was more than 20 amas, and you have these leaves coming down. These are branches we go within the 20 amas. If they themselves have enough shade more than sun, it's kosher. If not, otherwise it's possible. The Bia Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah explains that the Ran asks a question. We don't find that the first, the lowest level of the schach should. We don't find that the Gemara states you have to have more shade in that first level than sun, as long as the whole thing works. And the Ran explains that since these branches are not called schach, unless their shade is more than the amount of sun, so then we wouldn't count them at all. The only reason we reckon with them is because they give shade. Once they give shade, they're schach. But if they wouldn't give shade, they wouldn't be schach, and therefore you wouldn't count them as the beginning of the roof. And this is the logic of the Rosh as well. That hutzen, branches, that their shade is not greater than their sun, is as if they're not there at all. So then you get back to the problem that you have something that's above 20 amas.